First of all, I'd like to welcome you. This is afternoon of day 2 of our Learn and Redefined conference, which is the first ever one that Showbie, first ever online conference that Showbie have hosted. And we've had a real good focus on celebrating teaching and learning. I'm Graham Trick. I'm a learning specialist here at Showbie. And for those of you who might not have met Showbie before, and this is your first workshop of the week, we're a hybrid learning platform, and we've got over 3 million users globally, and our aim is to provide richer, deeper, more personalized feedback to all learners. It's something we've been proudly doing for almost 10 years, and if you want to find out more, come and have a look at us at showbie.com. During the presentation, please could you use the Q&A feature for any questions that you've got. If it's appropriate, what we'll do is we'll answer them as and when. If not, what we'll do is we'll store 1 or 2 questions up until the end. What I'd like to do is to welcome Reshan Richards, who's going to be delivering the session as we go on and explore the use of Explain Everything. So thank you for agreeing to do the session. I'm just going to hand over to yourself now.
Oh, thanks, Graham. Thanks very much. Thank you, Showbie, for hosting this experience. And thanks to all of you who are tuning in live. And thanks to those who are tuning in to the recording. Do not want to forget about you future viewers as well. So my name is Reshan Richards. I am one of the co-founders of a tool called Explain Everything. It is a whiteboard, and it's what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share my screen now, and you shall see a visual in a moment. And here it comes there. If somebody could give me like a visual confidence, or even in the chat that you indeed see this purple slide that says Explain Everything, that will increase my confidence. Thank you. I'll assume that raised hand was like a thumbs up. That's awesome.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's the thumbs up.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So what is Explain Everything? It is a whiteboard, and in many ways that's all it is, and in many ways it's everything you can imagine, or maybe that you have not yet imagined that a whiteboard could be. I'm going to take you all through kind of 5 uses of Explain Everything that are especially relevant, hopefully applicable in educational settings. So whether it's from preschool all the way through higher ed, graduate school, professional school, and everything in between. I guess I could, no, I'll go to the next slide here. So what does Explain Everything enable? One of the things that we like to, that we're proud of and that we're very intentional about is versatility. How can we create something that adapts and adjusts to the needs and the scenarios and situations of the people using it, as opposed to kind of dictating or forcing a certain pathway or use. So primarily, Explain Everything can be used for, what we enable is individual authoring and presentation, whiteboard video creation, whiteboard video content publishing, live collaborative whiteboarding, and anytime collaborative whiteboarding. And these are the 5 things that I'm going to take you through this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on from where and when you are watching this. In addition to that, I do want to speak to 2 other things that are important, and I would hope that all folks who are designing tools and services for schools think about, and that's privacy, and like, how do you create and provide an experience that respects people and their information and everything about them? How can you provide a great experience while continuing to adhere to and honor and try to make as private and secure an experience as possible? And then 2, around access. How do we create something that whatever the settings or conditions may be, that folks have access to that experience. And those are other things that we prioritize at Explain Everything. And I thought it was important for me to frame it that way. So what I'm going to do is speak to each of these cases, and let's start with individual authoring and presenting. So you right now are only seeing my slides, and you're not actually seeing any of the toolbars. This is intentional. But what is Explain Everything? It's this blank page. It's a blank canvas. And I'm going to author, I'm going to add content to this whiteboard in order to better tell my story or just get ideas out. So maybe I'll tell you about my, professional thread or timeline in education. And maybe in my whiteboarding it out and visualizing it, it may make sense to more of you, or maybe clearer to more of you. So I started as this is in the US, a 5th grade teacher. So this is like 10-year-olds, really focusing on mathematics instruction. At the same time, I was also, without any qualifications to do this work, was hired within the school to also do like tier 1 tech support repairs. So I was plugging things in and fixing printers and all of those kinds of things. But through that work, both my teaching and starting to learn about technology in schools, I became very interested in that intersection. And so over time, I got more involved in general education technology, both as a technology coordinator, so focusing on instructional coaching, but then also administration. So thinking about infrastructure planning and all of those things. Along the way, I continued to study and learn and advance my own understanding of the intersection of teaching and technology. And around 2010, while I was in the midst of my doctoral work here in New York, the first iPad was released, and I got very interested in how that technology might play a role in the possibilities in the classroom with students, with teachers, and so on. And through that interest and through a series of very fortunate events in my partnering with a couple of people in Poland, in 2011, Explain Everything was launched. And then over the years, it's almost 10 years later now, it'll be August, we've continued to grow and evolve. All right, so that's the end of my story. Hopefully, as I was telling it, and you saw me just kind of just in time adding some sketches here, I didn't really do anything else fancy other than using my pen strokes, but hopefully you could see that by my visualizing, adding some ink and not so pretty components to the space, I hope that it changed the way that you heard me telling that story, the way you experienced that story. And this is an important part about what we do, is recognizing having a visual component, but a moving visual component. It changes the dynamic of a communication, of a story to be told, of a concept to be communicated. And it's something we're always thinking about in the context of what a whiteboard can do. What I'm about to do now is go behind the scenes here. So you see what was actually happening. Now my toolbars are visible to you. So that was a choice that I made. As an individual, I've got access to a whole variety of authoring tools, things that I could use to visualize my thoughts, my ideas, or the things I want to share on the canvas. I was primarily using inking, and I was only using like 1 pen thickness and 1 color, but I could have jazzed it up, but I wasn't trying to be too fancy with different colors or different thicknesses to maybe tell my story. You may have noticed I used like a highlighter on the previous slide. I could have done that. I can erase things if I want to. I can erase my active drawings. I can erase older drawings. I can even erase pieces of pictures. I'll show you that in a sec. So there's all of these tools that I think you would expect from any kind of whiteboard or digital whiteboard or visualization platform. And that's what you'd find here. But you can also bring in any kind of content imaginable. Well, I guess you can imagine quite a things. The usual things you would expect to be able to add in here. I could bring in a photograph. Let me find something. Oh, look, I don't even know. Oh, here's one of my kids designed something with these beads. Beautiful. So like, here's a picture and I can just take it and put it anywhere I want on the whiteboard, or I could mark it up and say, check out this wonderful arrangement. What you may have noticed is happening on the whiteboard is that anything that I add to the canvas can be moved, rotated, or scaled. So, sometimes I like to think that a sheet of paper and a pencil is a tool, right? Or a combination of tools that serve a similar purpose to explain everything. But here's a place where all of a sudden more can happen on a digital space because of how we've approached adding stuff to the canvas or being able to bring things to attention and so on. And I'm still only operating here. Oh, I was drawing in white on the left side of the canvas for all of the things that I can insert. And maybe if there's questions later, I can go really deep into all of the different types of things you can add. Let's see, hopefully something appropriate comes out here. Sorry, Showbie, if it doesn't. Okay, here we go. Little there. So even little things that look, this is behaving in just the same way as every other object. So versatility, choice, the thing that you're imagining that you want to do, we hope to make it so that you can do that thing. So that's just on like authoring. We're in this kind of meta experience right now in that I'm presenting to all of you through this webinar, and I'm just doing a screen share, which is great because screen shares are awesome. That we're here on the Zoom. There's, I don't know how many people who are watching live and then watching the recording. Oh, there's quite a few of you. And so you, as my audience, I'm using Explain Everything exactly how I would if I wasn't sharing, but now I can use it to visualize. So when I was going through this timeline here, I was very much thinking about, I'm presenting to you, I want to share what's interesting to me, or I guess I'm not interesting to me. What I would hope would help you understand me better by telling you a bit about my background, just through whiteboarding on the visual. There's already a question on it, and this is a great one that I want to answer. So in the context of presenting, in Explain Everything, now I'm on iOS right now, and the buttons and features will look different if you're on the Android version or the web version. But when I go into my settings, the question was, how did I hide the toolbars? So when I'm on, there's this external screen mode. Right now I'm in mirror. If I switch to second screen, you will see the toolbars disappeared. But actually for me, I don't know if you could see in my video, my camera feed, like I've got all the toolbars visible to me. But for you as my audience, perhaps it's a little less distracting visually to not see all of my clickings and menus and choices, and you're instead seeing this clean whiteboard space. Though, because of the purpose of this webinar, I'm going back to my tools so that you can all see them. Authoring, presenting, I'm by myself, I've got my whiteboard, and already I'm able to just use it as even as a note-taking space that I just want to have stuff, a place to freely jot things down or mark up something like this, or I can jump on a call, or I could share if I'm in my physical classroom and I'm able to wirelessly share or wired share. I can achieve this same result. I have a whiteboard that I can do a lot of things very naturally, very freely, and be able to communicate visually. And that's just here. That's all we've done, right? This first thought. When we first made Explain Everything, the original use that we were trying to achieve was around making whiteboard videos for the purpose of, well, initially it was about how can we give students a tool where they can demonstrate their understanding in ways that traditional modes may not. So what would happen if a student communicates, explains their thinking in the same way that our instinct is, oh, a teacher might create an instructional video. What happens when we put that power, we empower students to do the same. So that was the thoughts behind why explain everything. Like, let's rethink the way understanding is communicated through the use of whiteboard videos. So what I'm going to do now, and this always happens funny when I'm screen sharing. So the playback, I hope it doesn't come back too loud. But what I'm going to do is the same exact thing that I did live, but now I'm going to create it as a video. And I'm going to pick a different color just for fun. I'm going to use two colors, green and black. Okay. Let me tell you about myself. Here's a timeline. In 2011 is when I started teaching. Oh, no, really, I started way before that. 2011 is when Explain Everything came out. 2021 is today. It was a bunch of time before that. And in between, we've had all sorts of evolution in what we do. We started as a whiteboard video tool. We added the ability to export your video to the cloud so that you can share a link, and then have added all sorts of collaborative possibilities. So, okay, so the quality of my production here was not super good. I did not practice that, as you can tell. But what I hope you see is when I hit the record button, everything I was saying and doing got captured. I'm gonna hit play. I hope I don't crash anything. Let me tell you about myself. Here's the timeline. 2011 is when I started. I'm just gonna like fast forward scrub. So everything that I was saying and doing, including my little like goofs and slip ups and self corrections and talking through myself and capturing that moment where it's like, oh wait, that's not what I meant to say, but that didn't mean it was wrong. Like, it was just as raw as if it wasn't recorded. And that's an artifact, right? That's a 35-second artifact that took 35 seconds to make, that now I could share. I can export this as a video, post it on my learning management system. If it's small enough, I can email it, and all sorts of things. And now let's try to imagine, let's go get my daughter's picture here. She's at school. Here's a picture. I'm gonna do the same thing now. Dear daughter, what a wonderful hexagon you have created here. I so appreciate how you maximized the colors that you had available to complete the shape. I wonder, I'm such a, I don't know, perfectionist. Do those three bother you as much as they do me? I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts. So imagine, as a teacher, I could pull in any piece of student work and just quickly, in the time that it takes to bring it in and talk through it and mark it up, I've got this permanent artifact that I can share it to Showbie. I can upload it to a folder there, in order to continue to build this mediated dialogue through the use of whiteboard video. So it could be used for instruction, it could be used for feedback, and certainly for student demonstrations of understanding. I'm going to check the question bar because I see two more. Can we add us talking with the video presentation? You can, though you have to have, like, you know, depending on what your device and setup you have, it can be awkward. So you want to get your good camera angle. So this is going to be meta. So I'm just going to hold my device up here. And there I am. Okay. So I have to know my camera is down here. So I just have to make sure that when I'm whiteboarding, now you're seeing my cheek. But if I look at this camera, now I'm giving my attention. So it takes a little bit practice, but you can have like a mini frame camera of yourself while writing here. It's just hard to stare at the camera and also write accurately. I'm not very good at that. That takes some practice. Another question was, does it record audio also? And I'm hopeful that you saw that. I don't know if the playback, the audio came through, but you can see there's a sound bar down here, which represents the captured audio. You can do like a ton of stuff with just the timeline. For example, I'm in this mix mode. So I'm going to mute my mic so it doesn't double over, but I'm going to hit record again. And I could add, you know, I'll just add myself here And so now I can have this annoying bouncing avatar at the bottom. So even though I made my initial feedback recording in that first pass, I just layered in this annoying visual on top of the video. So you can keep going back and layering. One thing that instructors have told us that they found helpful is that you can first record your talk track and then go back and draw along to listening to your own playback. So especially if you've like written a script or recorded, prepared some statements, you can first record your audio. 2 + 2 is 4. Okay, so I recorded that audio and now I'm just going to mute my mic so it doesn't do another layer. And I don't know, hopefully you'll be able to hear it back through there. And hit record again. 2 + 2 is 4. So I was able to do this like cognitive split, first recording my audio and then recording my video. And I could do vice versa. And I can like edit, look at all this dead space. Oh, start and delete and compact. So now I've like so you can really go deep in the whiteboard video creation, or you could keep it super simple and raw. And I would argue they're both powerful. It all depends on the context. So hopefully the question, somebody asked, can we edit this video after erase mistakes? You certainly can. And again, you can erase portions of the middle. So like say a dog was barking just in that moment. When I choose delete and compact, it'll like subtract that moment and it'll just be like a jump cut over. And if it's smooth, nobody would notice. And another question, is this only available for iPads? It is available on iPad, iPhone. It's available on Android phones and tablets. It's available on Chrome OS, Chromebooks that can run Android apps. You can run the Android app version, or it's available on web. And there is a web version that is accessible on Mac, Windows, or Chromebooks that don't support Android apps. So we are continuing to improve and increase the accessibility from a entry point standpoint. But right now, we're pretty well covered in the devices that most schools and students have in their hands to be able to do these kinds of experiences. So whiteboard presenting, video creation, and now let's talk about publishing. So if I've made this video here, I'll focus on this one. Let's look at my export or share options. So I'm going to choose export. I'm going to do it as a video. Do I want to do all of these slides? No, I just want to do this slide, slide 5. And what it's going to do is right on the device. I'm going to start it, but I'm going to stop it. I don't know how long it'll take. Actually, it wouldn't take too long. Oh, and I'll airdrop it to myself. Oh, you see, I'll just save it to my photos. Okay. So it's taking my 9-second video on my device. So I'm now waiting for my device to run this, but you can see all the activity in the background in the blurred out area, but it's literally taking my just-in-time animations, drawings, movements, and all of those, and it's rendering it as a very portable, transferable MP4 file that I can use anywhere, right? This is now somewhere on my photo roll. Here it is. And oh, it just switched to my app. I didn't mean for it to do that, but it did. This is that. Oh, look, it's playing, but it's muted. So it's now on my camera roll, and I can use it anywhere. I can post it on my LMS. I can export it to YouTube. I can just save it. I can view and screen it in the classroom. Really, whatever you want to do with that file, and it happened all there. There's a question, can we upload directly to YouTube or Google Classroom? So depending on your what you have, if you're on an iOS device, it depends on what apps you have set up and installed. So for example, I'm going to do, I'll do just this slide again, and I'm going to say export. So down here, you can see, here are all the places I can send that MP4 to. Now, I can, there's Hangouts, but I think I could add more here, like Chrome. I don't know if I have Google Classroom on here. I have Canvas on here because I use that in my own teaching. But like, here are all the places capable of receiving an MP4 file.
There's a question just Sorry, there was a question just came in saying, can you export to Showbie directly? The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Maybe I did a bad job by not having Showbie on here, but the answer is yes. So Showbie would be here. It could be also set up right here in your favorites, and it would be really, really seamless in getting from here to Showbie. And the same thing, you know, for certain file types, which are in Showbie, whether it's an image, an MP4, a PDF, using, like, again, on iOS, open in, you can open that file in Explain Everything and work with it and then submit it back. So you can create all sorts of dynamic workflows between Showbie and Explain Everything. Thanks, Graham. So can they collaborate on, if they're on different device and platforms? Let's talk about collaboration. So live collaborative whiteboarding. So this is the, oh, actually, no, I didn't formally talk about this. So here's another way that it becomes super easy. Also, like, you know, publishing to Showbie, for example. So I'm going to do export again. I'm going to do create web video link. What this is doing, instead of the video rendering on my device, it is hopefully going to send this project to the cloud. Oh, you know what? There's a gigantic file in here. That's why this is taking a second. I have like a 200 meg HD video embedded in here somewhere. So I'm going to hit cancel in a sec because it'll just take, oh, it's 150 meg. So that's why this is taking a little bit longer. It's also my home network. But when this finishes, I'll get an email saying my video is ready. So instead of waiting for the whole video to render and all of that, it's going to create an Explain Everything link that I can post or share somewhere, post even in a discussion or conversation in within Showbie, wherever there's a place that accepts a link or text file. Those are places that you would be able to do that. So that's what our publishing in our video. Let me see if I can pull up a browser here so you could see drive.explain. We'll see everything. Look, I just imported a live browser and we'll see if it'll let me log in. I understand. Oh, this is so interesting. I'm like signing in. Let's see. Oh, I've never tried to sign in that way, but let's try this way. Oh, this is fun. Try Face ID again. Oh, it doesn't recognize my face. So, oh, now you're seeing my whole life here on screen. This is fine. Oh, here, there we go. Sign in. Oh, look at that. This is working. So when I've published a video with that web video link, it generates like an embedded player like this. So this is just a link that you'd be able to click and watch. Now I should have done a better job naming this, but it takes that video and embeds it. So here's a link that I could paste wherever I need to. And I can also, if I was logged in, oh no, I guess I could have embedded, maybe I haven't allowed it, to be able to embed the video. Let me see if it's here. Oh yeah. You can create a video and even have an embed code. So after you've published it here and you want to embed that video, you can place it anywhere that would accept embed code. So the question is where's the video saved when you create a link? And it's saved when you do that create web video link, it's saved on Explain Everything, drive.explaineverything.com. So this is one of the platform or the subscription access features in order to be able to publish there. So there was a question about collaboration. And so that brings us to this third use down here, which is live whiteboarding. And I think I'll start a new project. We'll have a little fun here. Save and close that. Just start something blank for fun. So, you know, I'm still presenting to you, but what I can also do is I'm just going to make this shareable. We do any with the link can, no, I didn't want that. Let's do this. Anyone with the link can view. Fine. And I'm going to share. I want to copy this and hit start. So I did a few extra settings there out of wanting to make it a little bit more secure. But what I'm going to try to do, I have a choice to do everything? No, if you want to, let's see if this will let me do it. Oh, wonder why that said that. If you tapped in or typed in this link here, even in a browser, or if you had explain everything and you enter this in the join field, oh, there's Graham. We are now in this collaborative space together. So Graham and I can play a good game of, oh, I don't know what the, in the US, we call this tic-tac-toe. I'm sure there's other alternative names here, but you know, we can have a game of this, or whoever else wants to join. And so regardless of what platform or device you're on, you can join this. So I could be hosting this or facilitating this from an iPad, and then somebody else could join from a web browser, from an Android device, or from a Chromebook, and so on. So hopefully that answers the question about the cross device. So this is just in like a live collaborative setting that we're able to be here in the same space. If anybody else was feeling courageous enough to join. Oh, look, somebody is. Thank you. And look, they came in anonymously. So that's fine. That means they're not signed up or anything like that. But oh, you know what? I didn't give you editing rights. That's why I was like, why isn't anybody participating? It's because I said nobody can edit it. That's why. All right, now you should have your toolbars, those who are courageously joining, and you could enter the fray of this game. I was wondering why that, there we go. So see, I tried to be like all restrictive and all it did was mess things up. But okay, there. So I think Graham just added that in there. So we would be able to just facilitate this kind of live experience just from a whiteboard. We're on Zoom, so there's this kind of added, oh, rats, I was distracted. That we're able to have this kind of experience. Now, here again, like thinking about, you know, a workflow that you might use, you can have a link like this set up and ready to go, and then post it to your management system, post it as an assignment or as an activity with the expectation of somebody joining. Because in addition to us all being here live at the same time, I can also choose if I want to make this so people can join anytime, meaning if when I close, it'll end it, but I can set it up so that with permissions, right? If I specify who is able to come in and edit it, and I wanted to restrict this a little bit more, right? I could change it that, you know what, only people who are under my group account are the ones who can come in here, or very specifically, only these 3 people. Like I have a recurring meeting with Graham, and this becomes our shared whiteboard space. So you can start to get that granular in permissions and access so that you feel confident about what you have shared and with whom, but recognize, in addition to being live, that, oh, hello, that's nice. That in addition to being live, you can go and return to this link anytime and then continue building off your whiteboard. So let me pause and look at some more of the questions here. This is super helpful when you have these questions. So a couple of things. I can't answer the question about when the webinar will be available offline. I will let the Showbie team speak to that. Can Collaborator Names? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Graham.
I was just going to say that the marketing team will be working furiously straight afterwards, and it'll be as soon as possible, it'll go up.
Super, thank you. Another question from the chat, and then I'll go to the Q&A questions too. Can collaborator names be visible to the facilitator? They can. Oops. When I don't know if it's, I have to be in the collaboration in order to show that. Let me go back to my other project here. Let me go back to my tic-tac-toe, because you can choose whether or not to display name labels on the screen. Okay. Oh, let me just make sure my iPad screen. I've been doing so much screen flip-flopping. I'm just going to redo my share so that you can see this. And here we go. Okay, so the question was, can we see folks' names? I'm going to go to the collaboration settings, and here's the participant labels. And so that is on. I could turn that off if I want to. I wonder what happens to this. Oh, look at that. So this way, for security, if I didn't want that link displayed, I could disable that. So that answers that question. Hopefully you can display participants' labels. Restrict who can join. There's a question, can we restrict who can join? And that's where you can get more granular about who you want to be able to enter or join a project. So it takes effort. You have to determine, is it specific people? Or if you're in a group account, just restrict it to your domain. And then even within there, view only, edit only, and so on. And one more question was, can we upload a worksheet for students to work on collaboratively? Yes, of course. Let me try to find a document that's benign.
Just while you're doing that, I love the fact that it's not just the PDFs and documents. You can also do that with existing PowerPoints as well. So if you wanted to make a pre-existing resource ready, that it's fantastic for that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I just grabbed a PDF of some worksheet that I think I designed at some point, and this probably doesn't resonate in the K-12 setting because this was for a business case, but I just dropped in a worksheet, and I still have it open to collaborators. No, I don't. Oh, I must have kicked everyone off when I said that. Sorry. Anybody who joined in here, like, we can now work together. Imagine the assignment was to read this and identify all of the improper uses of the English language, like bad grammar and spelling. And maybe the assignment would be to like use highlighters to mark up, and then maybe even collaboratively record a 1-second summary of the feedback that you gave. Because you can also record while collaborating and have multiple speakers, even separated from distance, being able to do that. So there's a question about, oh, sorry, I jumped out. I don't know if the person who was in there, sorry, that was cruel. About examples. So one of the things I'm working on, it is not complete yet, is this like fleshed out grid of like the things that people are doing amongst like all of our uses and cases. So for example, with a group of students, I thought this was kind of cool. So they had a bunch of students basically contributing labels to a gratitude tree. That must have been an activity that this school was doing. So, oh, I can't even tell what device they're on. I think they're on a PC or some tablet. They're in a browser in here, so I can't really fully tell what they're using. But the teacher, it's clear from what I can read from just this tweet and photo, the teacher set up a project with a tree and invited students to join. And the students actually don't have accounts, because I can see in this case, they're still, they're not even signed in here, but they're able to contribute anonymously. And it looks like even with the trackpad input, they're adding like text boxes and labels to this gratitude tree. So like, there's one example, right? The teacher has some sort of instructional design in mind, and then is delivering upon that. Here's a case where this is more like one-on-one tutoring or feedback session with the teacher, between teacher and student. So in that kind of smaller, more intimate setting, being able to write out and talk through a problem. So here the teacher, what I can recognize from handwriting style 1, wrote this here, and you can see this is where the student was sharing live how they were solving. So hopefully those are 2 examples. And in reality, both of these translate to the anytime. So this would be happening live in the moment, but there's no reason that the teacher in this case couldn't have started with this problem and then said over the course of the day or 2 days, student, please respond and contribute your response. Or in this case, this is happening in real time, but this also could have been a 2 or 3 day thing of going and coming back and returning to it to continue to build that exercise. So I hope that answers that question. Just 2 quick snapshot possibilities of the way a teacher might design an experience that leverages these collaborative opportunities. There's another question about most efficient devices that can use a writing device. So it's true, Explain Everything is definitely, we designed touch direct input first, right? We think there's something that we respond differently when we're directly manipulating what is on the screen, which is different than indirect manipulation, which might happen when you're using a mouse or a trackpad. It just, there's a different step introduced when you're, moving a mouse and then moving the cursor and then seeing an action versus direct touch. But on web, we also support point and click and touch. All of that being said, any device that supports direct touch and for which you can get any range of stylus, I think you will find successful. I am not comfortable or dexterous enough to write well with a finger. It's never been a skill that I've been able to do well. So I am grateful for any time having access to a stylus. I happen to be using an Apple Pencil right now on an iPad, but certainly there's like passive styluses, or even the ones that, like, I have this one that I got for free somewhere, which is just like one of these pens with these rubber tips. Even that I find to be more than satisfactory when drawing and inking. There is another question of, do the students have to use a join code, or can you share a link? And the answer is both, right? So you can just have the link posted or shared or ready to go in whatever space it is. So if you're building out an assignment or activity in your learning management system, that you can create that link, and then the instruction is, hey, when class starts, please click here, right? Or join our video conference and click here, whatever it might be. So everything requires effort, right? So if you are trying to reduce complexity on the end user side, it would mean from the teacher side that you have to put a few more steps into the scaffolding or leading. But as the comment which alluded to working with both young students, but also maybe students for whom they're in a population where the native language of their country or school isn't their first language. So that adds even more complexity when navigating any kind of visual or language-based interfaces. So wherever you can reduce a step, for example, generating the link, copying it, pasting it to your LMS, putting whatever emojis and arrows and stuff to direct that learner's attention to the thing that they're supposed to press. I think if you're a teacher who is thinking in that way, you're already doing a great job in considering good instructional design for, I guess, appropriate aged learners. I think we're out of time because I just got a heads up message. And I hope I think I tried to cover these 5 things as best as I can. My contact information, if you email me, I will email you back. I promise you that. If you text me, I won't. I can't use texting capably at all. But here's my email address. If you send me a note and you have a question or anything like that, I will answer it, or I will redirect you to a better person to answer it. But I promise to respond to you if you send me a note. Thank you, Showbie. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to all of you who are watching live or tuning in later. I hope you find all of this helpful. I think Showbie is doing a wonderful thing in arranging this event and just creating a space for these kinds of conversations. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Reshan. It's absolutely fantastic watching Explain Everything live in action. And I know as a trainer and a learning specialist, I've got 1,000,001 ideas that I want to take into training sessions, and no doubt everybody else who is at the chalk face will now be chomping at the bit to get started. So absolutely brilliant session that would just you've just put on there. And yeah, I would just like to thank you for giving up your time out of your day for running that. So yeah, and I would also like to thank everybody else for joining us. We've got the recordings will be going live at some point over the next few days. Keep an eye out on our social media platforms for links going out. And this evening we've got a panel session coming up, and we've also got a networking event which you feel free to join. Nice relaxed end of the day where we can talk all things EdTech, Showbie, and explain everything. So thank you very much, and I'll enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks again, Reshan, for giving up your time to do this workshop for us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye now.